Well, in business news, Malaysia's economy grew 5.2% in the third quarter. That's its strongest performance this year. Bank Negara attributes this growth to resilient domestic demand, higher net exports and a rebound in key sectors, including services and manufacturing. CNA's senior correspondent Afif Arifin with this report.
Malaysia's central bank attributes much of the momentum this quarter to firmer household spending supported by better labour market conditions and income-related measures. Consumer-related services spanning across retail, dining, recreation and travel continued to benefit from higher tourism activity, lifting the broader services sector. Investment activity also remained steady. Meanwhile, private consumption held up, although private investment growth moderated to 7.3%, while public consumption rose 7.1% and public investment increased 7.4%, reflecting ongoing progress in infrastructure and construction projects. Externally, net exports strengthened as exports outpaced imports. This was aided by a rebound in crude oil and natural gas production following earlier maintenance. Manufacturing also saw firmer output, particularly in electrical and electronics. Bank Negara highlighted the role of a stronger ringgit, which appreciated 0.8% on a trade-weighted basis during the quarter. Despite global uncertainties, the central bank says the economic outlook remains supported by policy measures.
Given the lingering global uncertainty, the balance of risk is subject to both downside and upside risk. While headline inflation is expected to remain moderate this year. Malaysia's economy grew by 4.7% in the first 9 months of 2025, within the official forecast range.
Meanwhile, headline inflation remained stable at 1.3%, while core inflation edged slightly higher but stayed contained, supported by lower electricity and diesel prices following tariff reforms. Bank Negara says Malaysia remains on track to meet its full-year growth target of 4 to 4.8%, with domestic demand, tourism and steady investment realisation expected to continue driving activity into next year. Afifa Arifin, CNA, Kuala Lumpur.
Assalamualaikum, with me Desmaro and Louis. Now I want to talk about the critical analysis about trade performance in Malaysia from 2020 to 2025.
Malaysia external trade tell a story remarkable resilience, aggressive growth and strategic integration into the global economy. Analyzing the period from 2020 to 2025, the data paint a clear picture of nation leveraging its industrial strengths to navigate global volatility. The key trend is unmistakable long-term upward trajectory after the pandemic include slowdown in 2020. Trade value have surged with 2025 on track to record the highest trade volume in history. Crucially, Malaysia has maintained a trade surplus over 60 consecutive months since May 2020, solidifying its position as a net exporter. Beneath the total export figure, we find two distinct drivers, which is domestic export and re-export. For re-export, which are good import and then export without sustainable processing, show greater volatility but a surging, particular in 2025, driven by high commodity value and efficiency logistic hubs. This suggests Malaysia's strength as a key transshipment and trading nation. However, the domestic export component shows stronger, more sustained growth, indicating healthy demand for value-added activity. Analyzing import by end use reveal the heartbeat of Malaysian economy, defined by manufacturing, import and strategic investment. Intermediate goods remain the largest import category by volume, confirming the higher level of activity in the manufacturing sector. and requires a massive input like electronic component and raw material. But most significant shift is in the capital good imports. Capital good imports such as machinery and equipment has experienced the most explosive growth since 2020. This crucial indicator of aggressive corporate investment and ongoing industrial expansion, especially in higher tech manufacturing, signaling confidence in future production capacity. The composition of export is dominated by one powerhouse sector, which is electric and electronic product. E&E product account for nearly half of all major exports. Registering concentration means the sector is the primary driver of the national GDP, trade surplus, and the job creation. The E&E ecosystem, particularly semiconductor, form backbone of the Malaysia economy. Another key contribution come from the commodity like petroleum product and palm oil, alongside diversified manufacturing like machinery, equipment, and parts. Malaysian trade policy are defined by two distinct relationships, which is one of surplus and one of deficit. The country maintains a large trade surpluses with its primarily export market with Singapore and United States. Export to US is primarily high-tech finished goods driven by stronger demand for E&E product. Conversely, the largest sources of import is PR China. Malaysians runs a sustainable trade deficit with China, followed by a major ASEAN manufacturing hub like Taiwan. It is the nation's role as manufacturing assembly point, importing essential component from ASEAN supply chains for local processing before they are exported as final goods to Western market. A regional trade through the ASEAN Free Trade Area or AFTA is cornerstone of Malaysian external economy. The data show a large consistent trade surplus with ASEAN partner every single year. Exports to ASEAN are projected to hit a high record in 2025, demonstrating the regional integration and preferential trade agreement highly effective in driving growth and insulating the company from broader global market shock. The national export performance is heavily concentrated geographically. Pulau Pinang is the undisputed champion, contributing nearly 44% of the list export. However, Johor is the second largest contributor, providing over 20% of the total. This combined dominance of these two states, along with Selangor, reveals the strong regional specialization and the critical reliance on the industrial corridor to fuel the national trade engine. To conclude it, Malaysia is strong foundation in value-added manufacturing, strategic investment, and effective trade management position the country for continuing realizes sustainable trade surplus and long-term growth as a specialized and competitive global trade hub.
I think that's all about the critical analysis trade performance in Malaysia since 2020 to 2025. I think that also from me, Desmond Roy. See you next time.